The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odumosu, earlier this week warned against any planned protest in the state. Also, the statement signed by the State Police Command spokesperson Adekunle Ajisebutu revealed that the command had received information of a planned protest to mark the one-year anniversary of NSAS protests. He cautioned that the police would not hesitate to use all legal means to stop the protests from taking place. Following the Farotimi. Oh, we have Iniba joining us also. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's take a step back, a bit and revisit, what happened last year. Let's reanalyze the reason for the NSAS movement in the first place, because
the simple answer: detaining people beyond the period allowed by law, delving into simple matters which are not supposed to be the business of the police, violation of the rights of Nigerians, including the right to protest, the right to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. These were the reasons why young people were fed up with the anomalies and came out in their thousands across the country to demand police reform, to demand the abolition of SARS. SARS was only a symptom of a very terrible disease, which is the police as an institution. So when they claimed they had abolished SARS, what we have seen the last 1 year is that there is clear unwillingness on the part of the federal government, on the part of state governors, on the part of the leadership of the police, and even the Police Service Commission to reform the police. I have not seen any serious indication that the president of the country, the Inspector General of Police, or any other authority in this country is interested in police reform. So it is not. We have also seen indication that contrary to the statement of the then Inspector General of Police, the purported directive that all special units were to be disbanded, we have seen that these units have come back in different variations. Policemen are still going about without uniforms, heavily armed, raiding people, arresting people by the road. The impunity has not stopped. So what I see is that the Nigerian government does not appreciate the gravity of the NSAS protest. And that is worrisome because none of us can predict the dimension that the next NSAS or a similar protest is going to take.
Interesting. Let me come to you, Mr. Farotimi. It's interesting the position that Mr. Effiong has taken. He's insinuating that the government is not interested, security agencies are not interested. The police, whose rogue department was the reason for this protest, which are obviously metamorphosed into, asking for good governance, etc., seems also not to be interested in addressing the issues that have been put forward and cause for any change or any rippling effects.
Well, let me first of all apologize for the several technical issues I seem to be having. Welcome to Nigeria of our birth and sojourn. Now, Inibe is not too far from being right, but I will look at the same set of facts and interpret them slightly differently. I think I will do this perhaps with the benefit of age. Inibe, because we don't ever appear to have clarity as to what even we who seek changes and who have asked for Nigeria. And within the same Nigeria, they'll give us 2020. Not like they don't know, they know, but that as much as possible, that panel must be helped to do his work, which is to find the substantive issues of the progress, because it moved from NSAS, which is merely a unit, to end impunity, to end bad governance, to end this and end that is negative about Nigeria, which was what got the government jittery. So let's understand that for a season, darkness might seem to have prevailed. But it is inevitable that the dawn would come. You can't keep, this can't last. It's just a matter of time. They've just bought time. That's all. But they've bought time. That's the only thing I'll say. For how long? We'll find out soon enough.
I want to pick up on something that you said, that the politicians, the political class, obviously knows what they want, and they plan for it, as opposed to us. Now, I think that the reason why it plays
the narrative of the NSAS protest, for their protest or not, would have made no difference to the response of the Nigerian state and its rulers. His responses were always predictable. And if you really think about it, my generation had recognized leaders when we went to protest. There were proper structures. NANS had a structure, ASU had structures, the NLC had structures, NUPENG had structures. There were several structures. But those structures actually made it much easier for the Nigerian state to either compromise the leaders of those unions or to victimize them. So this particular decision by those who spearheaded or at least grilled the protest called NSAS was a lesson learned from our own generation. But the reality is that it is only a fusion of what we had learned in our time, the energy of the young ones today, and a clear vision for what the future should hold that can galvanize us into that future. But for anyone, particularly someone in your own generation, to presume to apportion blame as it relates to what he considers leadership vacuum or leadership failure, it says a lot about his person, not really about the NSAS protesters. Because if he had these ideas, where was he when his mates were busy standing on the streets for ideals he apparently subscribes to, but which he's not willing to sacrifice for? That is the typical...
Of course, is there anything in the Constitution that says that the police can tell us when?
The current Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Mr. Odumosu, I hope I got the pronunciation right.
Yes.
Has a very unadmirable history of disregarding the rule of law. The man seems disconnected from democracy. He cannot appreciate why citizens should express themselves. He cannot understand why Nigerians should be aggrieved, why Lagosians should come out to express their opinion on this without any regard to his statutory responsibilities. But to your question, we need to say clearly and emphatically, there is nothing under the Constitution, there is nothing under the Police Act of 2020, there is nothing under the laws of Lagos State, or any other law for that matter in this country, that empowers the police to detect when, where, or for what reason citizens should gather peacefully and express themselves. The right to freedom of expression, we must remind the Commissioner of Police, is one that is guaranteed under Section 39 of the Constitution. It is a right that inures both to Nigerians in Lagos State and other parts of the country. So it is not in the mouth, it does not lie in the mouth of the Commissioner of Police to say when citizens can protest or when they cannot protest. In fact, and as a matter of law, even where or when the Commissioner of Police or the police is of the opinion that Woodlump is an institution that has pinched itself against the Nigerian people, and they continue to display this arrogant attitude that they can detect to Lagosians or detect to Nigerians when they are supposed to protest. The Commissioner of Police has no business telling Nigerians that they cannot celebrate or protest in commemoration of the anniversary of NSAS. In fact, by his statement, he's indirectly telling us that as if Nigeria is a police state, as if we are under a military dictatorship. But let me say this. In the case of Charles Oputa, an Inspector General of Police and others, where represented Mr. Charles Oputa, aka Charlie Boy, the police said that they had intelligence report that hoodlums were going to hijack. Not happen. And this is also reinforced by the Electoral Act as amended in 2015, which has expressly stated that the role of the police during protest shall be limited to provision of security to the protesters. So what the CP is supposed to do is to go to the venue of the protest and protect those who are protesting. But for him to sit in his office and arrogantly say that nobody should come out to protest, that he would deal with anybody that is planning to protest, it is an insult on democracy, it is an assault on the rule of law, and it is a further demonstration.
Might want to take over this. Do you remember what happened? We saw the police in its fullest force at the toll gate. Passers-by were being arrested. They were being dragged. We remember we saw the very famous Debo dragged into a police van, and we saw all kinds of things happen. So again, why would the average young Nigerian who's tired of bad leadership, who's tired of being wrongly profiled by police officers, who's been fleeced of his hard-earned money, or who's been harassed by the police, want to come out in protest? I mean, he does want to protest, but he's scared that he might be, apprehended by the police and wrongly charged. Why would anybody want to really stick their head out at this point?
You know, when my brother Inibe was talking, I was laughing. I was laughing because with every word he said, he was vindicating my decision to run away from anyone address. All have. Which constitution? Decree 24? The policeman who is meant to enforce the law knows that there are no laws to be enforced. All he has to do is make sure that he works to administer the impunity that governs Nigeria. How dare the police commissioner, how dare he or any other person who is governed by law speak out against the trash that just to even speak out and be presumed to curtail the rights of citizens, quote and unquote. But he knows we are not citizens. This is the part where I feel sorry for the like of Inibe, who continues to believe that this system has any respect whatsoever for the law that it presumes to foster everybody's truth. The reality is that Odumosu has never pretended to be a law enforcement officer. He is essentially the police arm of the Lagos Army. The ones that the ones that the MC almost of this world cannot handle, the like of him handle. Let's be clear. Where does he find the power? Under what law? Which law? Pursuant to what law does he make the pronouncements that he makes in relation to rights that are enshrined in what they call a constitution? So you're insinuating that the Lagos consistently violating the constitutional rights of Nigerians. I lost hope and faith in the Nigerian state as it is long before I left the university because I already knew what it was back then.
But then you went on to be a lawyer, didn't you?
I had to earn a living, and I also had to know the law so that I would know exactly how to avoid getting into their traps. The reality is that Nigeria is not a country ruled by law. I just showed you the evidence. Look, of knowledge of what the legal position is that these people are doing these things. But they are doing it because they know that the law does not matter. What matters are the... Finally,
let's talk about justice for these people who were either injured, people who, as neither you and Daily are paying.
The killings that took place at Lekki Toll Gate, the assaults on protesters across the... Look at the number of people that were killed during the protest in Lagos alone. Look at the number. As even established by the state pathologists before the Lagos Judicial Commission of Inquiry. Till today, the NSAS panel across the states are not functioning. Except for Lagos, some states have wound up. Some states like Cross River, Kogi, and others, the panels are not functioning. There is no attempt at accountability. There is no attempt at justice or compensation. So that is why I am telling you that by the actions of the regime, the Buhari regime, by the actions of these governors, these people have to respond. That is it.
Its campaign. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there's regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. Nimasa bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 I dey pay.
Contrary to popular belief, Corona is not a hoax. The virus is real. Be responsible. Wear a mask. Wash your hands with soap and water and avoid crowded places. Maintain physical distancing. Be responsible. Together, we can overcome the pandemic.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture, and high is our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation, as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful
screaming. What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel ticketing structure. Amotepu core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email.
Rumored to be interested in succeeding President Muhammadu Buhari in 2023. However, he's yet to make any public pronouncements. The group has also stated that the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, already has 12 million votes in the bag ahead of 2023 presidential elections. Now, joining us to discuss this is Kafilat Ogbara. She is the secretary for SWAGA. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, nobody has started any campaign because by law, nobody has the right to do that. The Southwest Agenda is a voluntary organized zone because we found out that some northerners are saying that it's unconstitutional for anyone to say that there should be power shifts or power rotation. But we all know that power shifts and power rotation is already like a culture, a norm in the Southwest. To sit down together and then visualize how we can ensure that the right peg is in the right hole this time around in 2023. Our issues have lingered for too long, of which we have, elected different leaders with the intention and the vision and the view and the thought that this time around this person will get it right. This time around as politicians, or this time around we want Nigerians in their own thinking, in their own thoughts, in their own wisdom, to pick a leader that will fix Nigeria for once. And this is why the Southwest Agenda is rooting for, a detribalized Nigerian, a man with defined vision and mission, who has the capacity, the character, the charisma, and even the courage for new ideas and strategies. This is somebody that we know that he has unparalleled love for the poor and the underprivileged. We also know that if he is to publicize the effort and the support that he gives to the less privileged, I'm sure Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be on air every day. So we believe so much in him because of his consistency as a progressive, and also a loyal opposition. Because it is the loyalty that he has being in the opposition that has helped to salvage the multi-party electoral democracy in Nigeria today.
Okay, let me come in.
If you recall, you'll find out that,
Let me come in there because you raised a lot of issues. You said with the issues that we've been facing in this country is a member of the same party that came to us in 2015 and told us that they saw where we were as a country and promised us that they were going to bring us change. Nigerians came out en masse, many Nigerians, voted for the APC, and the mess that Nigerians are in today, including you and I, is as a result of this same party that you're trying to push for your leader to run as presidency on their ticket. Why should the average Nigerian trust your party again if the truth that you sold us or the idea you sold to us has not paid off and we just have about 2 years to go? Why should anyone listen to what you have to say?
Well, the present government being led by President Muhammad Buhari, I'm sure you have seen, they have done a lot.
Really?
Can
you tell us what they've done?
Because government will always do only what they can do, as far as they can go. And this is what President Muhammad Buhari-led government has done so far, so good. We are not saying it is the best that Nigeria can have. And this is why we are saying that some people have argued that President Muhammad Buhari, with the security challenges, banditry, and all these issues that Nigeria has today, is a moral burden already for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he's one of the champions, who canvassed for President Muhammad Buhari to become the president. And if you also remember, you found out that President Muhammad Buhari has been trying to be president, despite the fact that some people have said that he has total 1,000 number of votes, but those votes have never been transformed into elective office. He has not won any election with those votes until Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu supported that cause. And this goes to say that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows how to fix things. He knows how to put the right pegs in the right hole. Don't forget that we use it was the.
So does this mean that he can pick anybody he randomly supports, whether the person is good for Nigeria or not, can become president? Is that what you're insinuating? Is that what you're saying?
Hello?
So you're suggesting that if Bola Ahmed Tinubu were to pick, for example, anybody, and support that person to be president, he will be president, whether the person can deliver or not, right?
I didn't hear that. No, that's not the point. What I'm saying is that if you look at the personality of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you find out that when he was in government in Lagos State as the governor of Lagos State in 1999 to 2007, you will also be a witness to the transformational change in Lagos State and the vision that he has always had then to date that has distinguished Lagos State from other states. And the way he has built a lot of Nigerians, a lot of personalities today in this country, nobody has such credentials like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A lot of personalities in different capacities that have served this country in different capacities, they have done so very, very, including the vice president of this country. So we are saying that for a man...
Hats into the ring. Let's not forget, the Southeast seems to be the one getting the short end of the stick, who've never really been able to produce a president. And that's not because they can't, it's just because the opportunity has not been given to them. We've had a former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, from the Southwest. We've had a former president, Goodluck Jonathan, from the South. And then we, of course, went back to the North, where we have President Buhari. Why shouldn't the Southeast get a shot at it?
Well, once the presidency is done to the South by the party, of which we already taken that for granted, that definitely he has to come to the South. Any zone in the South, Southwest, or Southeast, has the right to contest for it. But we are clamoring and we are canvassing. They have the right to also clamor and canvass and lobby other party leaders to ensure that it goes to their zone. But the Southwest Agenda 2023 is saying that we have the best candidates in the whole of the South that can be that, catalyst for the real total revamp that Nigeria needs today. Because if you know who Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, you will know that he is exactly what Nigeria needs today, because we need passionately committed people that know the strategic fundamentals to build and implement public policies for the common good of all. And we believe that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that man that can take us to where we really want to go to.
Finally,
not as much realized one way or the other.
Okay. So, finally, because we're almost out of time.
You want to say something?
Yes, the vice president, as you know, has gotten a nod from the presidency to, throw his hat into the ring in terms of vying for the same office that the leader of your party is eyeing. Will he be able to go toe-to-toe with the president, the vice president, I beg your pardon, knowing that he's the #2 officer in the land and also in the party?
Yeah, that is trying. He's even the one that nominated Professor Oshibajo to be the vice president of this country.
Interesting.
Then I'm sure he had the opportunity to be the vice president, but he sacrificed. and nominated that this person can do it.
Nigerians will tell us if protests should be allowed to take place as the one-year anniversary of NSAS draws near. And when we return, I will give you my take.
I think we should, because there's a freedom of speech. You don't keep people quiet. Fine, I know things happened and people were silenced and they weren't allowed to talk. They weren't allowed to say what's on their mind. But we can't allow the government to always have their way. They've tried to shut us up as youth, not to allow us to talk, and fine. But we as a youth, we have a voice. And that's why we have the media. We can still go on media together and do this thing. Keep doing what we know how to do. And one day, God will hear us.
Considering the fact that the people who are fighting are actually very gullible and, cunning in their own ways, I think protests is not really what we need right now. I think what we need to do as youth now is to, sensitize as much people as we can as regards 2023 election. That is the only change we can truly make in this country. How we elect our leaders and how we put the right people in the right positions. That is what we should be thinking of. How we can strategize and plan towards 2023. That should be our focus as youths of this nation.
We are the leader of tomorrow. When are we going to achieve that aim? We've been saying all this for how many years now? And all those cabals, all those babas, they refuse to leave the post so that we can try our own possible best and see how I'm going to do it. And they're so wasted during the first NSAS, it's very, very alarming. And the blood is crying for revenge. And we can't wait and be looking at this, the way things is going, because everybody's fed up. To be honest, me, I'm just tired. Even though I'm a Christian, because of Christ, Jesus Christ, the Christianity is really coming us now as a Christian. You understand? And I think we should remember all those people that have laid down their life for us, the youth and the blood. We have to honor them. We have to do another NSAS until they listen to our agitation.
We had one last year, right? We had one last year, and even up until now, I don't think there's been any positive result yet as of now. So what I feel is, even if we're going to have another protest, it should be unified. It should be unified. And as citizens, we have the.
Here's my take. Now, I'm not here to sermonize about how bad our leaders are or how terrible their response has been to the rule of law. Instead, I want to address Nigerians. So give me your ears. We must not stop at complaining and murmuring in private, because we seem a bit too lukewarm about issues these days that seem to be strangling us to our deaths daily. Instead of screaming at the top of your lungs, we're supposed to be making sure that these people hear us, but we're resigning to fate daily and committing things to God and say, let's hope for a miracle. God is not going to come down and help us. No, the truth is, God is even facing other things. There are children that are dying in Somalia. There are things that when they're dealing with their own issues in their countries. No, Nigeria will not change if Nigerians do not change it. We have to realize that the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the most powerful office in the land. And a handful of leaders cannot rob you of those rights and your powers. Know your rights. I am Mary Anukum, thanking you for watching. Do have a good evening.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on PlusTvAfrica, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@PlusTvAfrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.